Hi, today as part of our Business Spotlight program, I'm talking to Jim Barry, who's Managing Director of the Barry Group, based in Mallow. Over to you, Jim. What is it you do, and for how long have you been doing it?
Kevin, our business is in the wholesale distribution business in Ireland, focused mainly on alcohol, confectionery, minerals, grocery items that you would see in off licenses and convenience stores.
Hmm.
We have a couple of franchises, one called Cost Cutter, which is a convenience store franchise.
Hmm.
We have a franchise called Carryout, which is an off license franchise. And we've another franchise called Quick Pick, which is for smaller stores. So that makes up one element of our business, which is our simple business. We'd also have a separate business, which is a general wholesale business, and we sell to probably every other retailer in Ireland, large and small. So we'd be dealing with the likes of Woody's, Mr. Price, a whole array of large independent retailers, which we would see as kind of larger contract type customers. And we also supply a number of smaller wholesalers who we would act as a consolidator for kind of a rest of trade. And on top of that, then we also have an export business, which we would trade in international brands. So there's quite a diverse thing. I think we see ourselves kind of as supply chain is key to us. So ultimately, we have various business channels, and we provide our own supply chain, which is pretty important in enabling us to do what we need to do.
Fantastic, fantastic, Jim. You've been growing, significantly over the years, and what would you attribute that growth to?
I suppose two main reasons. One is the solutions which we provide to our customers. We fundamentally believe that we have to offer very good service. We offer very good value. Always. That's just a fundamental thinking in what we do, and probably what makes us a bit different to some of our competitors. We're at a size where we'd see ourselves as maybe a small, large company, and I think the level of service and how we treat people, probably it shouldn't be, but it's probably our unique point of difference compared to our larger competitors. So we're large enough to provide a really good solution, and we're small enough to have that personal type service. And what we try and do as a business, we try and operate to a corporate standard, but keep that personal family touch. And I suppose the other important element would be our team. We're passionate about team. We have a great team of people built up. We have built in our effectiveness over the years, and we deliver our solutions to a very high standard.
Fantastic, yeah, fantastic. That's absolutely fantastic to see. And here's another one, I suppose. If you had to start from square one in business, would you do anything differently, or what would you do differently?
Oh, that's a very difficult question. Because, I'll tell you why. Because I joined our business, it's a family business, which my dad founded, and I joined that in '81, which is a long time ago. And look, a lot has changed. We were a small business. The economy was weak. It was the early '80s. I was working with my dad, so it's very different times. But I suppose what I would personally do different, if I was to do it again, probably is I'd listen an awful lot more. I think when you're starting off, look, it's probably about experience. You'll learn a lot as you're going along, and you'll probably adjust your style a little bit different. And I think experience probably makes you calmer. It's kind of you see things differently, you respond different situations, and it's a combination of age and experience. But again, I always set out to do the best I could. So effort and hard work, I still would have a similar drive as I had back then, but probably listening and maybe how I treat people, you might like to adjust that slightly differently.
Okay. And like as you said there, just following up on one point, is that, you were a small business. At what point did you decide you were going to be so much larger, or did that evolve over time?
It evolved over time. Now, saying that, we have the same kind of key principles as back then, if I'm honest with you, like high quality service, give good value, and treat people with respect. And there are three things that probably I would have learned from my father in the early days. And as I evolved and he retired out of the business, we would have built on those and put a bit more science behind them. Like by nature, I'm a bit competitive. You want to be successful. You always want to be up in your bar. So over the years, we've evolved. I can't pretend that every single thing we did was right. We made a lot of right moves. We learned from our wrong moves. And, today this year we'll do 280 million turnover. We employ 260 odd people. We've a decent return when it comes to profitability. We're respectable. So, we're a solid business today, and quite ambitious. And I'm being honest, as we evolve, I think the belly gets bigger, that our aspiration to grow increases. And as you evolve your team, I think naturally the bar keeps rising, and your standards keep rising. So we're probably in a good run from that perspective at the minute. So we're in a good growth space. We came through COVID very well. Some companies, it was kind of mixed. We were where we were now. We were very concerned going into COVID, but it turned out that our business did well during COVID, but it was huge pressure, huge stress. As a team, we performed really good, better than our competitors. And I think we learned a lot about ourselves during COVID. And when the going got tough, I'd be really proud of how our team stepped up. And I think that kind of we got a bit rewarding after COVID. Right. And we're currently in a very good run, is how I would describe it.
Fantastic. Yeah, I know. I remember the trauma, all right, in our own business here as to what would happen. But actually, again, like that, it's amazing what you have to do when you have to,
Yeah, and the funny, it's extremes. We were too busy. Other people didn't have enough on, and it's equally stressful.
Yeah.
And the best way I could describe it is like a pressure cooker environment for about 12 or 14 weeks. And that's fine for a week or two. And it's like peaking for a final. You can't peak for a final 14 weeks in a row.
Exactly.
And people were getting excited. Service levels were impacted because stock wasn't available. Even though we were outperforming the trade by a long shot, we had people who wanted their order maybe 2 days early, but they were getting it a day late. The competitors were 5 days late. So we knew we were performing way better, but then people were under pressure, and you know what happens when people are under pressure. And then we had to protect our people from probably unreasonable requests and stuff. So it was very, very difficult. Personally, I never worked as hard than that 14-week period. But again, saying that, we learned a lot about ourselves, and some people stood up to a standard that we mightn't have expected. So while it was tough going through it, we learned a lot from it.
So you're all the stronger for it at this stage again.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah. Now you've touched on a good few of this, but what would you say are your biggest learnings as an employer since you began in business?
Well, as a business, you have to keep evolving. So that's just every year. In fact, last year, our main theme for our business and our customers was growth. In the environment that we're now in, if you're not growing your business, bearing in mind how costs of business are going, you're going to get into difficulties very quickly. So the whole mindset around growth is something. So growth and evolving for me are probably, they go hand in hand. Mm-hmm. The other biggest thing probably is kind of how you treat people. It's really, really important. And within our business, obviously, what we set out to be is a high performance, positive team environment. Mm-hmm. And it's a bit contradictory in one sense, but you have to crack it. So ultimately, you need to be producing high performance, which is often pushing people. But on the other side, you got to treat your people very well and create that environment where you're getting the high performance out of coaching and encouraging the best and having a safe environment. So we feel we're pretty good at doing that. Now, again, you're never there, as you well know. So for me, team is everything. Mm-hmm. And the people element of team. So, respect is really important. And funny, we had been working on trust as a key component for quite a while. And in the last year or two, we've introduced respect as a key component as well. And I think it's something that needs to be looked at more, because often people could be unintentionally disrespecting people and they mightn't even be aware of it. So when you bring something like this to top of the agenda, all of a sudden, for me, it does help the environment more. Bear in mind all the different personalities you're dealing with. So we certainly have embedded respect as a key pillar, I would think, in the last while. And my own personal probably piece myself is take time making decisions. In the past, I would probably have made decisions too quickly.
Okay.
I personally, I slow down a small bit now. You got to move at pace still, but we really think before making decisions, and we look at all the eventualities, and we bulletproof our decisions better rather than quick off the cuff. The easy thing is give a quick answer. It's got me in trouble numerous times. So we've learned really just to be measured when you are making decisions. You have to make decisions, but you need to be really measured when you are making decisions. And my last learning, and I would have taken this one on board on one of the Ernst & Young EY Entrepreneur of the Year CEO retreats. And it was we were in one of the retreats was in Notre Dame University for a couple of days.
Yeah.
And we had various lecturers in. And the biggest thing I took away was the ability to be honest with yourself. I think we're all very good at looking at everybody else. We might not be as good as really having a hard look at ourselves. That's probably stood to me in very good state, and it's probably helped me in my own effectiveness. If I'm honest, that's probably my biggest learning, actually.
Fantastic. Okay. Yeah. Well, obviously, I mean, I think there's Eric Schmidt and Google was they advised him he needed a coach, and he was saying, well, you know, it's a fairly successful business. What do I need a coach for? But his comment was when he eventually did it is you can't see yourself as others see you. And that this is why he had a coach to work with, and he was that, you know, that's going back to the noughties, I suppose. Another one then, I suppose, which comes up a lot with business owners, they're often time poor, but how do you balance your personal life with the demands of running a business?
You're asking difficult questions. Look, it is very, very difficult. And I'll be honest, I had an experience recently where I was doing mentoring in an event, and there was quite a number of people at early stage in business.
Mm-hmm.
And the effort that they had to put in to get their businesses off the ground is frightening, is all I describe it. So at early stage, it's very difficult. I think at all stages, it's difficult, but at early stage, it is particularly difficult because you're literally like doing everything. And a lot of my customers are small businesses. And when you look at all the balls, somebody now has to balance. It is very, very difficult. And the environment we're in, and I'm all for a good standard of corporate governance, but I think it's getting too onerous on small and medium businesses. And the amount of time is fine if you have your HR department or your various departments, you can allocate work out. But when smaller business people are doing this all themselves, it is very, very difficult. However, you still, no matter what you do, be it work-life balance or whatever decisions you're making, you always need to seek to try and get the balance right. And whenever we're looking at things, we're always trying to see how we the balance right here. So personally, myself, I don't get it right. I've got it better in recent years.
Okay.
If I was to mark myself, I wouldn't be getting a great score on work-life balance, is the honesty piece. However, I have the ability to switch off. So once I leave here, and what I've learned in recent years, before I'd bring work home with me at night.
Yeah.
And that's okay, you get your work done, but to be fair, it's still not fair on your partner at home. And also, it impacted my sleep because I had stuff going on in my head. Whereas when I finish work and I try and finish as best I can at a reasonable time, I don't bring work home anymore.
Good.
Now, if there's something I need to do, I get up in the morning early because I'm a morning person.
All
so
right.
The best thing I could share with people is if you can avoid it, do not bring work home at night. When you get home, be present for your family, and get up early in the morning. Now, I'm good in the morning. I get up early every morning. So, and I also personally find that I'm more effective in the mornings. My brain works better in the morning. It's nice to have another interest. Often people in business might not be great in that. I happen to like gardening. I do a bit of walking. I I could do better, though, is the harsh reality, and it's something I'm trying to get my own balance better. I've got it better, but it's tough. It is very, very tough, and I think most people in business, if they're honest, apart from somebody who's really delegated, and okay, if you're somebody who has it all delegated, that's great. I'm hands-on-ish, which is a problem. It'd be easier for me if I wasn't, but then the business would probably have a different dynamic if I was hands-off. So again, you're always trying to get your balance right. And I suppose the more you can get off your desk, you improve your opportunity to get the balance better. But, you know, it sounds great. It's not always easy, but we're always striving for it.
Yeah, you know, and within ActuallyCoach, we define a business as a commercial, profitable enterprise that works without you. And that is all about, and, you know, you're absolutely right. Starting off with, you know, the analogy we use is, or metaphor we use is a plane. You know, for a plane to take off, it's everything is roaring and shuddering and off it goes. But once you get to 30,000 feet, you can coast along there.
Yeah.
And I know with this business, as I say, I was saying to you earlier, most of my clients are small to medium-sized businesses, and actually educating them on how to, and delegation is a big one, because
Huge.
you know, the limiting belief we have is nobody will do it as well as I will, and that tends to trap us a bit, you know. But
the other point that's a big focus for us this year is time. Everybody wastes time. That's just unfortunately, and we are going through a really so the people around me, I need them to be as organized as possible so stuff doesn't fall back on my desk. And we're really looking at all that we do, and we're identifying what we shouldn't be doing. And often things happen because we've always done them that way. So we've done good work in the last 6 or 9 months on stopping doing things, which sounds a bit bizarre, but like if people look at it closely, there is a big opportunity, because what we're trying to do in our business, we're trying to grow our business substantially with the same number of staff. And we're trying to get automation in. We're just actually, there's some things that were going on that they just gone on, and it was not looked at closely enough. So, you know, so time actually is our big focus for the first 6 months. And we'll move to something else in the second 6 months, but we've been very successful in creating time, because selfishly, the people who report to me, the more organized they are, they'll get more things done. But the downside then is we're a personable business. So I do spend a lot of time with our people, because if you want a really positive team, you have to invest time with people. And I suppose from a customer point of view, we have a large number of customers, and we pride ourselves in having a good personal relationship with them. So that and that doesn't mean I have a whole structure of managers, but they want to meet Jim Barry. So, and often the owner of the company can be the difference between dealing with a large corporate. So our strength is very much you deal with us, you're dealing with real people. We're happy to know you, we're there for you. No, but it does create a problem that impacts on your time. So you're always trying to get the balance. So at the minute, I'm busily getting stuff off my desk, and I've been successful. But funny, the time tends to get eaten up, but on the right stuff rather than the wrong stuff. And in the past, I'd have been doing wrong stuff, and you get that gone. But personally, I like meeting our customers, and I think it's actually other people in my position in our industry, they would not have the same relationship as we have, purely because we put the effort in. When I'm out on the road, I leave at 6. I'm at home till about 10 at night. But I've got 2 days work into one, and I've met more people. And luckily, I like doing that. I have the energy for doing that. But my sacrosanct, I don't work Saturday and Sundays. That is just I do work 5 long hard days, but Saturday and Sunday are off, and you do need to have some boundaries. So I have some boundaries, can do better. But then I am a hands-on kind of guy, and we are playing to a strength, but every company is different. So somebody who's out golfing, and best of luck to him, and if he doesn't need to be, or if he's all in the market, great. But everyone is different, and everybody will probably set it up, but we all need to get stuff off our desk that shouldn't be in our desk as well. That's probably the big.
Yeah, I know the management course that we give is a 12-week course, but part of that is, you know, organizing your days and your weeks, but we're having, you know, a proper checklist and A, B, C, D-ing your tasks. So A is the stuff you have to get done. You put in the time, you block off the time, and you talked about bringing work home. often we bring work home because there's no interruptions and we get
Mm.
more done. Because if you have an interruption while you're, when you're in the zone and you're getting stuff done, you're really producing. If somebody interrupts you, when we measure it, it can take up to 8 minutes to get back into the zone on average. So if you
Yeah.
get interrupted 10 times in the day or 20 times in the day, it takes so much more longer to get things done. Whereas when we brought it home, nobody's interrupting me and I can get so much done. And that
Yeah.
you want to bring that environment that you have at home into the workplace so that you're not being interrupted.
And I suppose that there's actually a possible difficulty there for me personally. When I'm referring to going home, it's kind of 6 o'clock in the evening,
Yeah.
and it's not work home after normal work hours.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd say that I do find that I might work at home in the morning for half a day to do stuff that's just heavy.
Okay.
So therefore, there's a slight differentiation in that you need to stop at a point in time. I have my point that, look, come 6, half 6, I'm doing no more. I want to chill out. And then if I have stuff to do, I get up at 5 in the morning or half 5. And my own, personally me, I am way more productive at 5, half 5 in the morning than I am at 3 or 4. I'm a morning. But again, everyone is different. I think people figure out the right model for them. But I do my most productive work in the morning.
Yeah, and I think we all have a rhythm. I know they refer to it as circadian rhythm or something like that. Some people are better in the morning, some people are better late at night, and you just, as you say, have to find which one you are, sort of thing.
Yeah.
I think you've covered this bit, but maybe just, what qualities do you look for in employees and your team, and how do you foster a positive and productive work environment?
Ultimately, I think the leaders and managers need to set the tone and set the example, and they need to be consistent. And that's something that we've worked very hard on in the last 2 or 3 years. We've brought our learning development internal. One of my daughters takes care of our learning development, so we've consistent learning development in-house to all our leaders and managers. Wow. And I can see that our bar has risen. Fantastic. Because of that. I'm fairly clear on the wavelength and the frequency and how I want our people to be. So we've a well documented. Over the years, we have regular workshops, and it sticks to a certain degree. But when you have a continual approach and people are sitting down every 6 weeks, it's so much more effective. And quite honestly, while I know what we want, I wouldn't pretend to be an expert presenter. And my daughter would go to a lot more detail and science behind what we're trying to do. And then it sticks an awful lot better. So herself and myself have developed lots of programs, and we're very, very clear. We've just finished a competency program now, and that's proving really, really strong, that we're getting a level of conversation that it might not be cool to get to normally. And you're really talking detail. We want people to buy into our values. When we're hiring, if we believe someone would struggle with our values, they just don't come in. We're very protective in the first 3 or 6 months when people join us. I am a believer of hire slow and fire fast. Yeah. A huge believer of it. It sounds a bit brutal, but I believe we have a good culture and style, but it has to be protected. And a small number of people could mess up what you've been building up for years. So we're very, very protective over that. We like energy, we like honesty, we like transparency, all the obvious ones. Transparency probably is one of the most important things from me. And it's coming probably with a view, we get things wrong, I get things wrong. But you want open conversation, and we talk about it so we can learn from it. I don't like stuff being hidden or a problem being. I like people to be very open. Nobody will get shot for an honest mistake. Our team are mature. We've a nice mix of, say, newer talent who've come in who are really energetic, and we've older, established people. We have been involved in Excellence Through People, Great Place Through the Work, the Life Best Manager over the years. So we'd be well used to managing and or kind of judging where we are. I genuinely feel that we're better than what we ever were. No, it's easy to say that, but the reason we got involved in the Great Place to Work, I'd say 10 years ago, was to see were we as good as we thought we were. And we did very well in that for 3 or 4 years. And then it ran its course. We got a different staff survey last year. There was a very high bar again, and we did very well in that. But you need to be real with yourself, because you can always pretend you're doing great, but you need to really know where you are. You need the benchmarking. We've high standards for people, but it's a safe environment. So I'd like to think that we're a positive team to work with. We'll have discussions that we need to have in a good way. We'll catch people doing things good. So we will have all that positiveness that you'd need to have in a good team. And it's not unlike sport. I'm sure you've heard the analogy loads of times. I played a reasonable bit of sport when I was younger, and I've tried to bring that whole team mindset to the business here, and I think we've been successful with that.
Fantastic, fantastic. No, I mean, a lot of the stuff that you're saying, I mean, it rings true from working with culture is huge. I mean, I think it was Peter Drucker back in the 60s talked about culture eating strategy for breakfast. If you get the culture right, and again, hire for attitude and train for skills,
Saying that to have your strategy right is so important, and it's all a foundation. And we put a lot of work into our foundation, so we're really clear on our strategy. We've all our department plans, so all the likes that is all. There's an awful lot of work, foundation work that needs to go into place to then have the. I'm all for culture, but you do need your strategies well, and it's all balanced again. You can't just say, "Oh, we've got a strategy." If you haven't got your foundations, then it'll fall apart very quickly.
Interesting. Yeah, absolutely. And just to finish up, Jim, what are some of the common misconceptions about running a business, and how do you address them?
I'm not too sure because I wouldn't listen to them, right? But I'm assuming people might think it's easy. It's not. It is very, very difficult, and it's getting harder. I am concerned at the minute. Okay, we're in a stable economy. I get that, but I'm really seeing the small business are getting a hard rap at the minute. And I think it's getting too onerous on smaller businesses. Minimum pay. I'm all for minimum pay. I'm all for living pay, but not for smaller business who probably can't afford it. And I think there needs to be a pulling of the handbrake on all the red tape, the compliance, and the mad extra cost burden, and the pressure and stress on smaller business people. I think the government have got the balance wrong. I think they got to pull a handbrake. And it's fine to have standards right, but if you someone there employing 10 or 12 people, they're doing it all themselves. The way it's going now, they won't have time to apply themselves to their business because they'll be so bogged down in other stuff. Now, I don't tend to listen to too much of the negative. I try to mind my own business, and I try to focus on what we're doing. I try to bring positivity to the table, but I know some people might have negative views on business, and they might come from a different perspective. Look, if that's a view somebody has, they're fine, that they're entitled to that view. It wouldn't be where I am, but the business is difficult, it's tough. I do enjoy it. To be successful, it's not for the faint-hearted. And look, we just try and focus on the positive.
Fantastic, fantastic, great note to finish on. Listen, I really appreciate your time, Jim. You're busy.
No matter, Kevin.
And I know our contacts will learn a huge amount from this conversation. So again, many thanks.
Hopefully it was some help anyway. Alrighty, good talking to you.